Year 5 pupils. Well done to Aishtavi, Bryn and Ella. Aishtavi, I like how you have explained the use of parenthesis and then you've used it in a sentence successfully. Bryn, I like all your sentences and you've used different punctuation for your parenthesis. And Ella, I like how you've combined two sentences to make one effective, successful sentence. Well done, all of you. Good morning, Year 5. Well done yesterday on collecting some of Tim's thoughts and feelings and putting some of his key moments from his time and space into your plan. Today we are going to look at the text and become text detectives. So the text is a diary entry, and we mentioned yesterday. We're going to see if we can identify the features that we would want in a successful diary entry. We're also going to see if we can work out why these features are in a diary and what their purpose is. So I'm not talking about things like full stops and capital letters, because that would be in every type of text. We are looking for things that are specific to a diary. Okay, so I've got an example of Tim's diary from his training days. So this is from before the things that we interviewed him about yesterday. What I want to do with you now is read it to you and see if we can pull out what makes it really successful. So if you're not sure, a diary is something that people can write to record an event, a moment in time. Some people record a diary every day, sometimes when they're doing something special, but it's about someone's thoughts and memories. So it's set in the past, which gives us a bit of a clue about one of the features. So I'm going to read this one to you now and then see if we can identify the features as we go. So it says, Tim's diary. Today was my first day. I couldn't decide if I was more nervous or excited. My stomach was doing somersaults. I arrived early at HQ and tried to look brave as I pushed open the large white doors. I was about to spend a year of my life in here. A year. It seems such a long time and space seems so far away, but it is within my grasp. I was shaken out of my thoughts by a clunking sound made by a man whom I presumed to be our instructor. He was loudly clattering around with an oxygen tank. Today we are going to learn to scuba dive, he announced. It made sense later, but at the time I thought he was mad. Okay, so that is an example. So I'm going to give you a feature. You can pause the video, see if you can find it before I highlight it, and we're going to see if we can identify a few as we go. So the first feature includes the date and time that the entry was written. So usually you should find that at the top. It doesn't have the date on my example, but what it does have is the fact that it says today. So, and it mentions my first day. So there is a clue as to when this diary was set there. The next feature is written in first person. So when we write our diary, we need to imagine that we are actually Tim Peake. So clues on that one is this bit here. I couldn't decide. I arrived. I pushed. I was shaken. So it's I, not he or him or Tim. We are imagining we are Tim. So that's really important. Next feature. Uses past tense. Right, this is something we're going to come on to into greater detail in later lessons, but I want to make sure we are understanding of it from the beginning. So we use past tense. That means we are writing about something that has already happened. Pause the video. Can you see any clues that tell you that this was something that has already happened? Right, a clue is this word here, was. My stomach was doing somersaults. If it was the present tense, it might be my stomach is doing somersaults. So the use of the was tells you it's in the past. Notice the ending of the word arrive has been changed to arrived to show it's in the past. I arrived early, that ed ending. It's not I am arriving later, it's arrived. And you'll see it a few times. Push, I pushed, which means you've already done the push. And as you go through the text, go further on down here, I can see it. I was shaken instead of I am shaking. So this is really important to make sure we get our diary right, that it is in the past tense. looking how we switch those verbs to show the past. Another one here, I presume becomes I presumed. Okay, and it was again, all the way through these clues for the past tense. A very important feature. Next one, includes an introduction to set the scene. Now, this isn't crucial in my opinion, because we are kind of doing three separate parts of Tim's experience in space. But in this example, we've got the fact that it says today was my first day, because that's to show the reader that Tim's going to be feeling as he is. In chronological order, this is an important one. When you write a diary, you write what happened first at the beginning, what happened after that, and then whatever the last thing that happened comes at the end. So chronological order means it is in time order. Shows the writer's point of view. So we've got Tim's feelings in here. We mentioned a few yesterday when we interviewed him. So it says, I was more nervous. He couldn't decide if he was nervous or excited. He mentions his stomach was doing somersaults. Space, talking and describing what he thinks about space, so far away. And then at the end he mentioned it made sense later, but at the time I thought he was mad. So this is showing us what Tim is thinking about these things that have happened, which we picked up yesterday, as I said. Similar point really, personal emotions and feelings. Paragraphs. So if three things happen in this day, you'd have 3 paragraphs, one for each event. So every time we move on to the next event, we start a new paragraph. So there's 2 paragraphs here. First one tells us it was his first day and how he was feeling, and then the second one moves on to the beginning of the training where he's told about scuba diving. Informal personal terms. So we're not writing to the Queen. You might use phrases that Tim uses, so it's going to sound at times how people speak. And then we've got inverted commas if there's any speech. So we've got that here when he's just recording what the instructor said to him. So we've got those inverted commas. Right, what I'd like you to do now is pause the video and maybe decide what you think are maybe the 4 or 5 features that are the most important, the ones that we must, above anything else, include in the video. And then I'll see if we agree. So pause now, have that discussion, and then when we come back, I'm going to tell you my 5 and see if we agree. Off you go. Right. For me, the most important features, we need to show that it's written in the first person. It needs to be in the past tense. It needs to be in chronological order. So that's 3. I'm going to sort of loop these 2 together. So showing the point of view, the feelings, the emotions, and using paragraphs to organise our writing. For me, those are the most important 5. The others will probably happen anyway, but these are the 5 things that we need to include the most. Okay, so your chili challenges today are 3 parts. So chili 1 is to be able to identify the key features of a diary. So if you need to go back in the video to look at the diary, and then if you can record those on a piece of paper ready for the next lesson, that would be really helpful. Second chili 2 is for you to then to decide which are the most important. Can you have a conversation with someone with you and see if you agree or disagree? Can you use your reasoning skills to explain why you think some features are more important than others? And then chili 3, which I'm going to show you in a moment, is for just to begin sort of experimenting, really having a look at these features and trying to improve 3 sentences I've selected using the diary features that we've identified so far. So if you're doing chili 1 and 2, this is the time to pause the video or go back. If we're doing chili 3, we're going to keep moving forward. So I've got 3 sentences. Tim walks into the equipment room. He felt worried. He is arriving at the training centre. Now, we're going to have a look at one each, one at a time, using the features that we've already selected to see if we can improve these sentences and make them be more suitable for a diary. So the first one, Tim walks into the equipment room. Pause the video now, look at the features, have a go at writing it out. I'm going to have a go so you can see an example of how it could look, but there's no one correct answer because we can do this in different ways. So underneath, the first feature we mentioned in the first person, well, currently it isn't. It says Tim, so it should be I if we are referring to him in the first person. So I, and then it says walks. We want it to be in the past. So he's already walked into the equipment room. So it would be I walked into the equipment room. Now, whilst that's an okay sentence, it works for a diary, it's not particularly interesting. So you might want to add in some description. I walked into the, you might want to use 2 adjectives. The large advanced equipment room, off the top of my head. It's up to you how you think about that. You might want to use some parentheses from last week. I walked into the equipment room, and then put your brackets after it and add some extra information there. You might put a relative clause in there. It's up to you, but look to see how you've added some extra detail to that sentence while still keeping it appropriate to a diary. You might add a thought. I walked into the equipment room, comma, which was, and then it could be showing Tim's thoughts and feelings about the equipment room. You may have to use your imagination. The next sentence, he felt worried. Pause it, have a go yourself. Otherwise, it might look something like this. So again, first person, I. Now felt, thankfully, is in the past tense. So I felt worried. Not a bad word. I think we could use an online thesaurus to improve it though. I felt anxious. Or it might be an opportunity to put show not tell in here. So how could we show the reader that Tim was anxious rather than just say I felt anxious? It might be I felt like my stomach was doing somersaults, because that kind of shows that nervousness, and it's given us his point of view as well a little bit. Don't worry about paragraphs at this point because obviously we're just doing single sentences. We might want to improve the start of it, so it could be something like all of a sudden, comma, I felt like my stomach was doing somersaults. Again, it's giving us a little bit more of an insight to Tim's thoughts at that time. I look forward to seeing how you adapt that sentence. And then the third and final one, he is arriving at the training centre. Same issue, year 5. It shouldn't be he, it should be I. And if it shouldn't be is, because it's got to be in the past. So I was arriving. Does that make sense? I am arriving, I am arrived, I was arrived. Or how about I arrived? Simply, I arrived at the training centre. I feel like it's lacking in information there. I arrived at the training centre. When did he arrive? We could maybe use some description here. Arrived at the training centre just as the sun appeared over the horizon. Maybe to indicate that it's the morning. Maybe we can, to show the chronological order, firstly, comma, to show it's the first thing, I arrived at the training centre just as the sun appeared over the horizon. Right, over to you, year 5. Great detective skills today, year 5. Remember to send in your features, justify the order that they should be going in, what is the most important, and then if you can have a go at improving those 3 sentences using some of the features we've discussed today. I look forward to seeing them on the emails, and then I can put them in the next shout outs this week. Well done.